Karen hired loggers to clear my woods, but panicked. When rangers showed up, you ever wake up to the sound of chainsaws? Only to realize they're coming from your own woods? That's what happened to me one quiet Saturday morning. The smell of pine and diesel filled the air, and when I stepped outside, I couldn't believe my eyes. A crew of loggers was cutting down century-old oaks on my land. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe the county sent them. But when I saw who was supervising with her hands on her hips and a smug grin, my stomach dropped. It was Karen, the president of our HOA. She claimed my woods were a fire hazard and said the HOA had authorized the cleanup. Only problem? Those trees were outside HOA jurisdiction and clearly marked on my deed, so I made one call to the state rangers. What happened next? Karen's cleanup operation turned into a full-blown investigation, and she went from giving orders to begging for mercy. It started like any normal morning. I was sipping my coffee, watching the mist lift over my property, 15 acres of old-growth forest I'd inherited from my grandfather. He used to say, "Those trees are part of our family history." Then came the roar of machinery. I rushed out and saw men in bright vests cutting down massive oaks near the boundary line. I waved my arms and yelled, "Hey, you're on private land!" One of them shrugged and said, "We're just following HOA orders, sir." That's when I saw her, Karen, standing by her SUV, clipboard in hand, acting like she owned the place. "Morning," she said cheerfully. "We're clearing this fire hazard before it spreads to the neighborhood." I stared at her in disbelief. "You have no right to touch my land." "This is private property," she smirked. "Our HOA map says otherwise. We're just keeping everyone safe." My patience snapped. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life," I told her, and pulled out my phone to record everything. The first call I made wasn't to the HOA board. It was to the State Forestry Service. Karen wasn't new to drama. Ever since she became HOA president, she'd been on a crusade to beautify the neighborhood, which really meant bullying people into compliance. She fined neighbors for unmowed lawns, banned garden gnomes, even complained about the color of mailboxes. But when she decided my forest was an eyesore, she crossed a line she didn't understand. As I confronted her that morning, she waved her papers dramatically. "This entire section is community buffer land," she said. "You can't stop me from maintaining it." I smiled tightly. "That buffer zone was removed from HOA authority 10 years ago. It's mine now. Deed, tax records, everything," she scoffed. "We'll see about that." The loggers hesitated, clearly sensing trouble, but Karen barked, "Keep working." By now I had the whole thing on video. Within minutes I heard sirens in the distance. Not from the police, but from ranger trucks. Karen's confident grin faded fast. 2 state rangers pulled up, lights flashing. They stepped out, calm but serious. "Morning," one said. "Who authorized this logging?" Karen hurried over, flashing her clipboard. "I did. HOA president." "We're removing fire hazards," the ranger frowned. "You do realize this area is listed as a protected woodland?" "You can't cut here without a state permit." Her face went pale. "Protected?" I handed him my property deed and pointed to the boundary markers. "They've already cut down 3 old oaks. All of this was done without consent." The ranger took notes, then turned to the loggers. "Shut it down, now!" Karen stammered. "This is a misunderstanding." The ranger raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, unauthorized logging on protected land is a felony." "You'd better hope this is a misunderstanding." The loggers started packing up immediately. Karen was left standing there, trembling as the rangers took photos of the damage. A week later, I got a call from the Forestry Service. They had completed their preliminary investigation. Turns out Karen hadn't just made a mistake. She'd falsified a map, submitting old HOA blueprints that showed my land as common property. She'd even signed off using the HOA's funds to pay the logging company. The state hit her with 3 violations: unauthorized logging on protected land, fraudulent land documentation, property damage. Meanwhile, the HOA board was in chaos. Members were furious they'd been dragged into her stunt. Some even came to apologize. Karen tried to pin everything on the logging company, But her emails told a different story. She'd ordered them to clear the entire back ridge before the owner notices. She noticed all right, in handcuffs. When the case went to court, Karen showed up looking like she hadn't slept in days. Her lawyer tried to argue that she acted in the community's best interest. The judge wasn't buying it. "You trespassed, damaged private land, and endangered protected species," he said. "That's not community service. That's criminal negligence." Karen was fined heavily, ordered to pay for replanting the destroyed trees, and temporarily banned from serving on any HOA board. As for the loggers, they were cleared. They'd just been following her false orders. The best part? The state rangers helped me secure a conservation grant to restore the woodland my grandfather once tended. Months later, the forest began to heal. New saplings sprouted where the fallen oaks once stood, and the air felt lighter, not just because of the trees, but because the community finally saw who Karen really was. She moved out quietly, her reputation in ruins. Sometimes neighbors still bring it up. "Remember when Karen tried to clear your woods?" I smile and nod. "Yeah," I say, "and the forest cleared her instead." It's funny how nature finds balance, even when people try to destroy it. Because in the end, those woods weren't just my property. They were my legacy. And some things are worth protecting no matter who you have to stand up to.